The Kansas City Chiefs are gearing up to take on the Houston Texans, and we know the Texans have won a lot of games in a row. The Texans franchise quarterback is returning from an injury. The Texans are 7-5, one game better than the Kansas City Chiefs. The Texans have a pass rushing duo that might be the best in the NFL, certainly is among the best in the NFL. So the question is, can the Kansas City Chiefs win this game and keep their playoff hopes alive? Well, we're going to go over some of the things about the Texans, and my answer will not surprise you. Especially if you know where you are. You're on the Scrambling Armchair, where we talk about Chiefs every day. I think we're over 1,000 consecutive days of posting videos now, but I have not gone back to check. So here is the schedule for the Texans recently. These red dots that I have already put in there are games where Davis Mills played. Now, the Broncos game is where C.J. Stroud got injured. The Broncos won that game. Davis Mills came in and beat the Jaguars, beat the Titans. Those two games, probably you would think, okay, well, yeah, you're supposed to. Beat the Bills. Beat the Bills there. So you're also looking at a team that goes back and has beat the 49ers, lost one to the Seahawks, beat the Titans the first time 26-0, absolutely smoked the Ravens 44-10, and then this previous week beat the Colts 20-16. The Colts on an ever-loving spiral. Now, they get the I'm having too much fun with the pin, I apologize. Playing the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. So, actually very interesting when you start looking at the quarterback profiles for the Texans. The Chiefs, you might say, are lucky to be getting C.J. Stroud back in the lineup. I don't necessarily believe that, but it seems that the rally around the backup quarterback phenomenon played true with Davis Mills. As you see here, C.J. Stroud had been 4-5 as the Texans quarterback. Davis Mills comes in and is 3-0. Now, you never know what you're really looking at here, right? When it comes to a team hitting a hot streak with the backup quarterback, what was going on there? C.J. Stroud is a very talented quarterback. Davis Mills, a more limited quarterback. So you would jump to the conclusion that this is A, the team rallying around Davis Mills, or B, just happenstance. But I do think there is a little bit something to do here, because though C.J. Stroud is a much more dynamic quarterback, though C.J. Stroud is a quarterback who is capable of much more jaw-dropping plays, you look at this number right here. Interception percentage. Davis Mills with a 0.7 interception percentage. C.J. Stroud's percentage of interceptions 3 times higher than that. Marginally more than 3 times higher than that. So Davis Mills came in and was playing an extremely efficient brand of football, even if you would call it conservative. So Davis Mills got those wins that C.J. Stroud sometimes allowed to slip away by throwing those 6 interceptions in his 9 games. Davis Mills in his 3 credited games, right, because they split the Broncos game, only threw a single interception while throwing 5 touchdowns. It took C.J. Stroud 9 games to throw 11. So very interesting there from that standpoint. Now, something that is also very interesting, but probably does not apply to the Kansas City Chiefs, is this over here. C.J. Stroud got sacked 19 times in 277 attempts. So, pretty good. It appears he was pretty good at evading the rush. Davis Mills got sacked 9 times in 150. It kind of evens out, right? Because you're talking about not quite 2 times as many attempts. But you're also talking about, with C.J. Stroud, someone who, I don't have it here, but was running the ball a little bit more. So was able to evade a little bit more of the pass rush there. Now, when we start looking about the offense writ large, lately there has been one guy doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and that is their leading receiver, Nico Collins. Nico Collins, nearly 8... Oh, wow, I can do that? Oh, that's a game changer. There's a button on my pen that I can erase things with. Now, 800 yards receiving. The thing here is, yeah, he's doing a lot of damage. 95 targets, 57 receptions, a 13.9 yard per reception average. So you're not quite a deep threat, you're not quite a possession receiver, you're in the middle there, but it's sort of on the higher range of not deep threat numbers. However, just 4 touchdowns on the season. So he is a threat between the 20s. You have, again, Dalton Schultz, who's doing a little bit of work there, or quite a bit of work, but nothing crazy. 552 yards, a single touchdown. You have the guy I really liked him coming out of college, and he is proving to be the type of possession receiver that I thought he could be. Jaden Higgins, who, though he only has 32 receptions, has 4 touchdowns, basically has half the number of receptions as Nico Collins, but the same number of touchdowns. They're finding him in the red zone when they don't really. I mean, when you look at that, 4 leads the team. There's a lot of guys with a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, but very little going on outside of that. So the passing game for the Texans seems to struggle in the same way that the Chiefs' passing game did a couple years ago, where Mahomes wasn't able to throw the football into the end zone. They also have Xavier Hutchinson here. I liked him coming out of college as well. 303 yards on the season, 3 touchdowns. So he is not quite what Jaden Higgins is for that Texans offense, but is pretty close behind. I am absolutely stunned that I have the ability to erase with that button on my pen there. Now, running the ball. Woody Marks. Joquavius, I believe, is what he's going by this year. 486 yards. This is the guy they've been leaning on heavily for the past few games. And he's been tearing it up from a yardage standpoint. But you're looking at a guy that, again, only has 2 touchdowns on the season. Nick Chubb, doing what Nick Chubb does, 469 yards, only 3 touchdowns on the season. This is so if we go back up and we look at this schedule, that makes sense. I mean, they scored 44 points here, but they scored 26 here, 19 here, 26 here, 15 here, 36 here. They're getting these points from somewhere, but they go through fits and droughts of points. So, what about that defense? The defense that we've heard so much about, very good defense, and we have been primed to be absolutely terrified of this pass rush. And for good reason, the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't know if you guys knew this, I'm going to be taking snaps at offensive guard for the Chiefs this coming weekend. Just something I do in the part-time, right? I do it every once in a while. I step up when they call me. But the Texans have Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson both over 10.5 sacks on the season. 10.5 for Will Anderson, 11 for Danielle Hunter. Here's the thing about the Texans' defense. No one else is rushing the passer. They have Henry to Otto I can't say it. They have Henrique, who has 2.5, Sheldon Rankins at 2, Derek Barnett at 2, and one-time Mizzou commit Derek Barnett. Fullerunsu Fatukasi, 1.5. Mario Edwards, 1.5. Tim Settle, 1. Danico Autry, 1. Tommy Togail, 0.5. And Dillon Horton, 0.5. And outside of that, again, QB hits, 18 for Danielle Hunter, 19 for Will Anderson. No one else is really doing very much in that department. Everything else drops all the way down to 4, 5, 5. So the Chiefs are going to struggle to stop that defensive end tandem. It is, however, just the defensive end tandem. So if they are able to keep a tight end appended to the line, if they are able to have one of their running backs step up and chip a lot of the time, Patrick Mahomes is going to have more time in the pocket than we would have thought coming into this game. So I do think that while and whereas it is going to be problematic for this Chiefs offense, it might be overstated how much the Chiefs will struggle against the pass rush, provided Andy Reid has the humility to keep extra players protecting Patrick Mahomes. And you have to hope that he would. You have Rashee Rice, who is a good wide receiver and can beat man coverage. You have Xavier Worthy. You have Hollywood Brown. You have these wide receivers who should be able to get open on their own without all of the scheming and all of the route combinations that has really facilitated the offense moving forward when it has, right? So Andy Reid is not a big fan of giving his offensive linemen help. We saw that in this previous Super Bowl. We saw that in the prior Super Bowl that the Kansas City Chiefs allegedly lost, but I still have not talked to anyone who has actually seen that football game, so I don't know if it happened. That is all allegedly at this point. When these things break down in this fashion, his philosophy seems to be, instead of allowing the offensive linemen some help, giving Patrick Mahomes more targets early in earlier developing routes is the best way to go. And look, at one point in time, it was, right? Patrick Mahomes versus the blitz. We remember those statistics. I don't know, for whatever reason, that it is anymore. Patrick Mahomes, some point in his career, got the idea that he is Superman, and what that means is I'm just going to hold on to the ball and someone's going to be open downfield. He's not taking the hot routes anymore. He's not dumping it off the way that he needs to. We saw it a little bit when the offense was very, very bad in 23, but we have not seen it to the point. We have not seen it operate that way versus a good pass rush. Andy Reid still doesn't want to have Brashard Smith on the field for some reason. Andy Reid still doesn't want to run screens the way. At some point, Andy Reid has to stop being known as a screen-calling football coach because it just doesn't make any sense anymore, right? He doesn't do it. He refuses to do it. So these wide receiver screens have kind of replaced that. We saw how poorly that can go versus the Colts. And when you're talking about Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, you're talking about very athletic defensive ends that could cause the same type of problems right off the snap of the football. So can the Chiefs beat the Texans? I think they can. Obviously they can. The Chiefs have not been out in any games this year. The Chiefs have lost a lot of games, but the Chiefs have had the opportunity to win most of them. I think that it's going to take some conservative play calling. It is going to take some running the football. and it is going to take Patrick Mahomes being absolutely willing to dink and dunk his way down the football field again, whether he wants to do that or not. If the Chiefs can do those things, I think they can win this football game and keep their playoff hopes alive, knocking the Texans down a peg while they work their way up. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me, and I hope to have you back for the next one.